The fire crackled and hissed in the stone hearth, casting long, writhing shadows on the cabin walls. The children, Annie, Thomas, and little Bee, huddled close, wrapped in quilts that smelled faintly of cedar and smoke. Outside, the snow fell heavy and silent, blanketing the world in a hush that only winter could command. Grandfather leaned back in his chair, pipe unlit in one hand, the other clutching the worn armrest. His eyes, pale and clouded with age, gleamed with a strange light. "You want a story, do you?" he rasped. "A real one? Something with teeth?" Annie nodded eagerly. Thomas swallowed. Bee clutched her teddy bear tighter. Grandfather smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Then let me tell you about the time I stayed in Briar Hollow. God help me, I swore I'd never speak of it again. But the dead don't rest easy. And neither do I. It was 1952, and I was 23, full of arrogance, whiskey, and bad decisions. I just finished college, and I fancied myself a writer. Thought I'd travel, see the world, write the next great American novel. Then the letter came. Yellowed, brittle, smelling of dust and something older. No return address. Just a looping script that read, to Edwin Harrow, regarding the estate of Miss Clarissa Harrow, my great aunt. I'd never met her, barely even heard her name. She was the black sheep, according to my father. A recluse, a widow, and a woman given to unhealthy obsessions, whatever that meant. The letter was an invitation, or a summons. Her estate needed settling, and I was the only living relative named in her will. It should have been straightforward. A week at most. Sign some papers, pack a few boxes, maybe sell the house. Briar Hollow had other plans. The town wasn't on any modern map. I had to follow an old trail, dirt roads and fading signs, past shuttered coal mines and forgotten fields. Locals at the last gas station had looked at me sideways when I asked for directions. "You sure you mean that Briar Hollow?" the old man behind the counter asked. "Is there another one?" He just shook his head. "Ain't been right there since the war. Or before. Some places don't forget, and they don't forgive." The house was a Victorian monstrosity perched on a hill above the hollow. Weather-beaten shingles, sagging porches, windows like blind eyes. The air smelled of rotten rain, and the trees, all black bark and no leaves, leaned too close as if listening. Inside was worse. Dust inches thick, wallpaper curled like peeling skin, every mirror covered in heavy black cloth. And the silence, and not the peaceful kind. The kind that waits. It was the third night when I found it, in a locked drawer of her writing desk. A diary, bound in cracked red leather, its pages filled with cramped, spidery writing. Clarissa's hand. She spoke of things, dreams mostly, but they weren't dreams. Not really. She described a figure in the woods, faceless and tall, with fingers like twigs and a voice like wind through a graveyard. She called it the Thistle Man. She said it came to her in sleep, then in waking, that it watched from the tree line, that it whispered through the chimney flue at night, that it wanted in. There was a cellar door in the kitchen, hidden under a moth-eaten rug. The lock was old but brittle. It snapped with a single twist. The air that rose from below was wet and foul, like breath from a dead mouth. I went down with a lantern. The stone stairs were slick. Something skittered in the dark. The cellar was a vault of shadows, and in one corner, bones, dozens, maybe more. Animal, I told myself. Then I saw the tiny shoes. Children's shoes, one pair still tied with a bow. I stumbled out, vomiting into the sink. The townsfolk were no help. The few I found avoided my questions. Most wouldn't even say her name. But there was one, Miss Alcott, the librarian. Half blind and half drunk, she took pity on me. Clarissa wasn't mad, she said. She was scared. And she was right. She showed me old records, parish logs, birth and death registries. Dozens of missing children, all from Briar Hollow, all under 10, all vanished near the woods. They used to leave offerings, she whispered. When they stopped, it came. What came? She just looked out the window. The Thistle Man. In the attic, beneath a sheet, I found a portrait of Clarissa, young, maybe 20. Her eyes were wide and haunted, lips pressed thin. Behind her, barely visible, stood a figure. Just a shadow, but unmistakable. The same shape, the same height. The Thistle Man. The longer I stared, the more I could swear he was moving, smiling. That night, the wind howled through the chimney. The mirrors rattled under their covers, and I dreamed of antlers. Clarissa's final entries grew frantic. She wrote of children's voices, of scratching under floorboards, of gifts left on the doorstep. Teeth, bones, small hearts wrapped in leaves. She said the Thistle Man made her a bargain. One soul once a decade to keep the hollow safe. When she refused, it took her son. I didn't even know she had one, but his room was still upstairs, preserved, toys untouched, a crib empty. A rattle sat in the corner, moving slightly. The snow came early that year, trapping me. I tried to leave, car wouldn't start. Roads gone, just white, and shadows moving beneath it. The house changed, halls longer, doors shifting, whispers in the walls, and at night, always the scratching, like twigs on glass. I woke one night to find the cellar open. A child stood at the top, pale, eyeless, mouth sewn shut. It beckoned. In the cellar, the bones were gone. In their place, a ring of blackened roots. In the center, my name carved into the stone. They wanted me. I burned the house, poured kerosene through the halls, lit a match, and didn't look back. The screams that rose were not human. I ran. Snow be damned. Cold be damned. I never went back. Epilogue. The twist. The fire dimmed in the hearth. The cabin grew quiet. So you see, grandfather said, voice low, some places are cursed not by what we do, but by what we refuse to believe. Annie leaned in. But you made it out. You were safe. Grandfather didn't smile. I thought so too, until last week, when I found this. He reached into his coat and pulled out a yellowed envelope. No return address. Just a name in looping script, to Annie Harrow. Regarding the estate of Edwin Harrow. The fire flickered. Outside in the snow, something scratched at the door. Annie sat up straighter, her heart pounding. Grandpa, what is this? He looked older than he ever had, eyes hollow with dread. It means it's your turn. The hollow doesn't forget, and it doesn't let go. Thomas grabbed the letter, but grandfather didn't stop him. The wax seal crumbled like ash in his fingers. Inside was a map, faded, torn, with a red X over Briar Hollow, and scrawled beneath it in blood-colored ink, the Thistle Man still waits. A gust of wind blew against the cabin door. This time, they all heard the voice, whispering, calling. 3 nights later, Annie dreamed of the house, whole again. Standing in fog, the windows glowed. She saw herself walking toward it, not alone. Children walked beside her, silent, eyeless, holding hands. She woke to find dirt under her fingernails and leaves in her bed.